let's move on to our sleeper in the NFC East, the Washington Commanders, and a lot of changes for the Commanders. Another team, for all the inactivity Dallas had, Washington made up for it basically on their own. They added Nick Allegretti, the guard, Austin Eckler, Dorrance Armstrong comes over from the Cowboys we mentioned, Dante Fowler Jr., Clelin Ferrell, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Luvu were two big names. I always mess up the pronunciation of the Cowboy center. Biadasz, like I can never say. I don't know why. It's just for some reason they pulled over the Cowboys center. And then Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, and Joe Witt are all new to the coaching staff. Key losses here. The big one to me was Kendall Fuller. You lose him in the secondary, so there's some questions there. But yeah, this Washington team, 3 new starters on offense, 5 new starters on defense. Is it crazy to believe that Jayden Daniels and this very new cast can be successful in year 1?
I mean, it depends what you view as successful for them. What would you view, like playoffs or? No,
I would just say having a competitive football team, maybe get to like 8 wins.
I think Jayden Daniels has a very high ceiling. And the additions to this defense was huge because this defense last year was piss poor.
Defense got a lot
better. Like this was one of the worst defenses in football, super below average. Defense got a lot better. To me, if you can play decent 500 level football, show your team's trending in the right direction, like Jayden Daniels can show some flashes, show some things of what he could be if what they're expecting him to be down the road. The defense can improve. This team can win 8 or so games, which I think is very possible. That's a good season. There's always that world where, it could be that CJ Stroud rookie year Texans like team. That shouldn't be expected.
Oh, no, you can't expect it.
Yeah, like when you're an obvious third team in the division, your ceiling is probably the 7th seed in the playoffs.
Wait, isn't Ziggy high? Are you high on the Commander? I know you're high on Arizona, but are you high on the Commanders?
I'm not especially high on the Commanders, but I do remember the last time they took a quarterback number 2 overall, what happened?
A great rookie season.
Yeah, immediate divisional title out of nowhere. So it can happen. Go ahead. Yeah, the thing that I worry about with this team, and this is just a Jayden Daniels question, because really it's up to him how far this team goes. I think the defense will be average or slightly above average. At LSU, every single week, basically, he had an enormous advantage at skill positions. Right, they were going in with some of the best receivers in college football, great run game, great coordinating at LSU basically every year. And that's why for the 2 years he was there, he was so much better than at Arizona State. You're not getting that luxury of the Commanders. Terry McLaurin, a lot of people have forgotten about him, but he's good, but he's not an elite wide receiver. Dotson hasn't lived up to very much. Luke McCaffrey, I mean, he might be a decent slot receiver. No one knows. Austin Eckler is incredibly washed. He's not going to be very good for this team. So the question just is Jayden Daniels a product? He will ask any Chargers fan. He was so bad last year.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The question is just going to be, can Jayden Daniels, he doesn't need to elevate people around him, but will he hold the team back as a rookie? I don't know what it will be, but if he can at least play to the level of talent around him, it's a 500 team.
Well, do you think the team might hold him back? Sounds like you're very good at Washington.
I mean, I think there's decent players on this team, right? The defense is okay. Terry McLaurin is a decent player. Dotson, while he's been disappointing, is not a bad player. He could have a good season when there's finally someone decent throwing him the ball. The question just is, I don't think Jayden Daniels will be good enough his rookie season to be held back by this talent. Long term, you need more, right? But
Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy, I think that the Bears and Vikings are good enough to elevate them next season. Like, there's a lot of talent on that team. Whereas Bo Nix in Denver, I don't like what's going on in Denver right now.
Drake May in
New England. We'll talk about that on Thursday. I'm not a huge fan of what's going on there. So which side would you say the Jayden Daniels situation is closer to?
I think Jayden Daniels is dead in the middle. The talent will not elevate him, but the talent won't hold him back either. So I think he's in exactly the 3rd best landing spot. I'm not excited about Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not excited about what he's going to bring, but it's better than what the Patriots have. I'm not especially excited about the skill position players, but they're real NFL players. It's better than what he'll have in Denver, where we'll have 8 games of Cortland Sutton and whoever else. So, yeah, I think that he has a chance to play well, but the reason they're not higher and the reason they're not lower than Daniel Jones, who has at least shown he can have a productive NFL season, is because I do think Daniels, there's something there.
I will say this to people who haven't really paid attention to the Washington offseason so far. If someone said, yeah, Washington has a shot at making the playoffs this year, they'd probably just start laughing and say, like, you're an idiot. But the more you dive in to what they did, like I think Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu, I think they still got some in the tank. Like Bobby Wagner, I mean, Luvu obviously, but Bobby Wagner was great last season for large portions of last season. Like, I see no reason why that linebacking unit isn't going to perform at a high level. We all know that the defensive line is very good in Washington, especially the defensive tackles. The concerns for me are on the back end. You're going to need a lot from Emmanuel Forbes next season. And then on the offensive line, where one of the big needs for Washington was offensive line, and they did add some people, but it wasn't addressed in the way that most fans would have liked, especially for a rookie quarterback, especially a quarterback like Jayden Daniels. Smaller frame, took a lot of big hits at LSU. He's going to run a lot, doesn't really know when to slide, it seems. So there are definitely concerns with those areas of the roster for me. But if Daniels is good, doesn't have to be RG3 good, but if he's, and a good quarterback next season, I think Washington, believe it or not, could like flirt with that 7 seed throughout the season. I'm not sure I'm totally buying the Daniels hype, but yeah, like Ziggy said, if he's good, this team is more talented than people realize.
Oh, if he's good and the defense can just take a step to being average, this could be a number 7 seed.
Yeah. So we just have to see how that offensive line holds up, because if people are coming at him, he starts taking hits. I can see it falling apart quick. But there's a world where the Commanders coming into the later portion of the season are very competitive for a playoff spot.